Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Akil, and I just got back from doing my double feature with my friend for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Mufasa the Lion King, and finally, after quite some time, I've seen two movies I at least liked. Well, one I loved, and I'll explain which one it is. But how I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna talk about Sonic first and then Mufasa. So it's still a double review, two in one, but it's not like positives, negative, story. No. It's not like that. I won't be jumping back and forth. Which, funny enough, is one of the criticisms I actually have with one of the films I'm going to be talking about, or movies, I should say. But anyway, let's jump right into talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And as someone who liked the second one, thought the first one was okay, I was curious to see what they were going to do with the third film. And wow, this is one of the most surprising sequels I've ever seen in my life, guys. They really took it up a notch. And this movie, it being shorter than the sequel, definitely benefits from it. Because I could tell without any random subplot, which the sequel had, the whole wedding subplot, which was completely unnecessary, they made this more about Sonic and, the other characters that are related to Sonic than just random human characters that have nothing to do with the movie at all. So there's that, even though there are still humans in this movie, but it's really about Sonic and his friends, I would say, and Shadow. So there's that. Now, going into the pre-rating score for this movie, I'm going to say that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was a great movie, guys. Yes, this is one film this year that I actually ended up loving, which now I can say this, Monkey Man, and Dune Part 2 are the only three movies this year that I ended up loving, which is unfortunate because this year overall I just didn't see a lot. There wasn't a lot that actually piqued my interest, if I'm going to be honest with you. But everything else I at least liked or thought was okay. But this was really, really good. I was really surprised by this overall. So that's that. Now, going into the story without spoiling too much, basically Shadow has been broken out, has been set loose onto the world, and it's up to Sonic and his friends to kind of take him down. And if you've seen the trailer, you know that Eggman Robotnik's back. Jim Carrey is actually playing two characters in this movie, and I wouldn't say who the other character is just in case you don't know, but they do say who it is in the trailer in a way, so there's that. But this movie is definitely made by Sonic fans for Sonic fans, and you can definitely feel that when you watch the movie overall. So basically it's, as they say, Team Sonic going up against Shadow, and Eggman's also there as well. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And there are two post-credit scenes, which one of them, you kind of know what's going to happen because it was one of the big rumors of this movie in terms of that character showing up. And that character does show up, but I'm not going to obviously say who it is. So there's that. Now, the positives of this movie. The action has never been better than in this movie. The action is phenomenal. The final fight in the third act is amazing. It is awesome. It's epic. It's everything you could want a Sonic final fight to be in a movie like this. Also, another thing I liked was Shadow. Shadow was really, really cool. Every time I heard Keanu Reeves speak, though, if I'm going to be honest with you, it just reminded me of John Wick. You know, like, that's the only like Keanu Reeves thing I've seen. I know Matrix exists. Obviously, it's a big part of pop culture. But I'm going to be honest with you. Those movies don't like intrigue me. I don't know what it is. I've just never been into Matrix. Maybe if I watch them one day, then I will. But even my brother, he like at least tried to watch one, but then he gave up. So there's that. But and he and I usually kind of have similar tastes, I would say. So there's that. But whenever Keanu Reeves spoke, it was like, oh, John Wick and all that, and he carried the movie. Shadow, this really does feel like Shadow's movie at times, and every scene with Shadow is like some of the best movie scenes I've seen. Like, oh yeah, like I'm not even joking. Like they gave so much depth to this character. And speaking of depth, the third and final positive I want to talk about is there is some surprising amount of depth. Not just to Shadow, but Eggman as well, and even to some of the other characters as well. There's also a character, speaking of characters, I should mention, because I did like them, but that's not one of the three positives I do want to bring up. Even though I did like them, there's a character that you may recognize from another type of Sonic IP. I myself have not personally been exposed to that IP, so I can't really say that I was like, oh, it's this person and all that. But if you've seen a previous Sonic IP, then you might know what I'm talking about and who that person is. But basically, this movie had depth, it had great action, and Shadow definitely carried the movie. Keanu Reeves was great. It still is Sonic's movie, but I feel like it's just as much as it is Shadow's movie as it is Sonic's movie. I feel like so. There's that. Now, getting into the negatives, there are two things that really stood out to me that I was not a big fan of. First of all, there are some silly moments in this movie. There are some moments that are just so unnecessary. Like one in particular definitely comes to my mind, but it's so silly. Like I guess we can never get like a legitimate, serious and grounded, realistic Sonic film, which they do go for it at times, but this film still has that silliness from the previous two movies, I would say. And also there are some unnecessary moments that also did not need to be there. That just added more to the film or movie, I should say film movie, whatever. But it just took away from it. So because of that, I can't say that it's like one of my favorite movies ever, but I was genuinely surprised by this movie. There's not a whole lot that I was bothered by. I thought it was paced very well. Maybe it's because I saw it in the theaters, but overall I thought Sonic 3 was awesome. So as a final score, I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. I thought it was a blast. I really, really enjoyed it. So there's that. Now let's talk about Mufasa the Lion King. And this is a movie that going into it, I know who Barry Jenkins is as a director. I've not seen any of his movies previously, but I do know that did know that he directed Moonlight and some other acclaimed dramas to do with African American culture and all that. So maybe it makes sense that he has a close connection to the story like John Favreau did when Lion King came out back in 2019, which I love that film. I don't care what anyone says. However, I've only seen it once, so maybe if I rewatch it, I'll feel differently about it. But this movie was better than I thought it would be, because I do know that some people are very like mixed on it, like they're right down in the middle. It doesn't have that high of a score on IMDb, and same for Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I'm talking about critic score. That is like audience score is quite high, but a critic score, I guess they're never just gonna appreciate this type of animation. Which, if you're not into this type of animation, maybe you won't like it that much, but I am, so there's that. But this movie overall I thought was solid. So for my pre-rating score for Mufasa the Lion King, I'm gonna say that it's a good movie, guys, overall. Now the story of this movie is very simple. It's pretty much Rafiki telling Kiara, who is Simba's daughter, that her grandfather, aka Mufasa, was this really like powerful leader and ruler, but how did he become that person? And if you are a fan of origin stories, this is one that you might like, because I'm a sucker for origin stories, like especially a movie like this. Like I did not know what they were gonna do and at all, and there were like some interesting little moments that I was like, oh, this happened and this person's in there, okay. And I'm glad that they hit quite a bit from the trailers. In that way, I'll give Disney credit, because I know Disney sometimes may review stuff, I don't know, but if you look at the Marvel films, they don't try to. However, they did show Daredevil in the Echo Trail, but that's besides the point. But anyway, I'm really sidetracking. The story is very simple. It's, like I said, Rafiki telling Kiara the story of a grandfather and how he was and who he was and how he came to be who he is known to be, I would say. So that's that. Now, going into the positives, the animation is a lot stronger than the 2019 Lion King movie. I would say that. And that might annoy some people. Again, like the animation might piss some people off and annoy some people because of the photorealistic element and all that, but still they do some interesting things with the animation. At least the facial features are a lot better this time. Like the characters emote a lot better now. Like you can actually tell if they're feeling happy, sad, angry, scared, whatever. Now, another thing I also liked was the characters. I actually didn't mind, some of the characters, if not almost all the characters in this movie, which for a movie like this, I did not know what to expect. Some of these characters I've not even heard of, and they did a really good job with them. I was also trying to identify, like, okay, whose voice is this, whose voice is that, because I knew Matt Mikkelsen was in it, and, like, Beyonce's daughter and stuff like that, and a bunch of the guys from the previous Lion King 2019 film also came back, but I was like, okay, who's this voice, who's that voice? Then I looked at the credits, I was like, oh, okay, Keith David's also in this movie as well, so there's that. But I did like the characters and what they did with them. And finally, for positives, there was some nice callbacks. Like, by that I mean, like, even though this is a prequel but also a sequel, it's like if you watch both of the 1994 Lion King and 2019 Lion King, I feel like it's a callback to both films, because like the little like musical cues and homages and things that characters say and do, like it makes so much sense. They even name drop the Lion King in this movie, so there's that. Now going into the negatives, the things I didn't like about this movie. First up, this is by far the biggest issue I have with it. it jumps back and forth between the past and present. I did not like that. I wish this story was just in the past the entire time, and it could have been what a prequel should be. Like, if you watch Hobbit, right? There's nothing to do with the present. Actually, no, that's not true. The movie starts from the present, but it goes back to the past, but the whole trilogy is in the past. This whole movie is like, if Hobbit was like showing like what happened in the past, then we would see Frodo and Bilbo, like older Bilbo at times, like, that would be really annoying, right? But in this movie kind of was like, I wish they would show more of young Mufasa and Taka, and less of, Kiara, which I don't mind Kiara, but I'm not a big Lion King 2 fan. Like, maybe there are fans out there, I don't know, but regardless though, it didn't really work for me, if I'm going to be honest with you. Another thing is that there are some cliche moments. It's a Disney movie, of course, you're going to get some cliche moments. There are some moments I was like, oh really? Even some of the songs I felt were a little bit cliche too, I would say. So there's that. And finally, the ending was not really that surprising at all. It was kind of obvious, like, what's going to happen. And that's, I guess, the unfortunate thing of a prequel like this. What's going to happen at the end of the day. But I wish there was something a little more, like, shocking. Oh, like wow, all right, I never saw that coming, and that sets up, now it makes sense why that sets up, this part of the story. But there were some things that were, like, so, like, really, okay, sure, why not? And the ending was like, okay, I kind of saw coming a million miles away, I feel like I'm sure everyone else would too. But regardless though, I still thought Mufasa the Lion King was good. So overall, as a final score, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, guys. And there you guys have it. Those are my reviews for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Mufasa the Lion King done. Once this video is up and going, I will be immediately jumping to the next video where I rank all 12 movies I see this year. So don't go away, guys. I'll be back very shortly once this video is up on YouTube. So then I can do, my ranking of all the 12 movies I've seen this year. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. My name's Kyo, otherwise known as the Comic Director, and I'll see you real soon, guys.